Are you tired of getting null reference exceptions all the time? If so, then you should use Nullables, which will trigger warnings when a variable may be uninitialized or null. The best part of this is that you will see the warnings at compile time, before you even have time to run the game. And additional benefit is that any type of variable can be null with Nullables, even integer or boolean. Let's dive into it. There are two ways how we can make a nullable variable. One is to use the nullable class, which is stored in the system namespace, and inside of it we can simply wrap any type we want to be nullable. Or there is the shorthand, which you will see that is used most of the time, which is simply writing question mark after the type. Any nullable variable works the same way as really any type of variable. You can assign it some value, you can do some operations on it, call some functions, but the main thing is that it also allows you to set it to null for the value types. At the start of this video, I was also talking about some warnings, which will help us to prevent the null reference exceptions. To enable the warnings, we can either enable it locally just for this script, which we can do using the hashtag nullable-enable. Right now we are not getting any warnings, so I will try to create one more variable, which will be a reference type variable, for example a string, and if I remove the question mark, so now it's not a nullable string, it's just a classic string, we can see a warning because for this type of variable it's not expected to be null, because it is not nullable. So with the nullables enabled, you will be getting warnings anytime that a variable is null. This is one way how we can enable the nullables locally, and to enable them globally for the whole project, you should go to project settings, go to the player tab, other settings, then if you scroll down you should see the additional compiler arguments, so here we can click the plus icon and then add the argument, which is -nullable plus. And then you can hit apply, which is going to recompile all of the code and it will enable nullables for the whole project, so you will likely be getting a lot of warnings. Let's take a look at some of the other warnings that you may be getting. So if we create a string variable storing the player name and we don't assign it any value, it's null. So the warning is saying that we should assign it a value in the constructor. In case of the mono behaviors, it also works in the star function, so I can say player name is equal to something, and now the warning has disappeared. Another case when you may get a warning is when the function is expecting, again, just a classic string, and if you pass in null, again, that's not really expected, because usual string should probably not be null, even though it can be. In case that you expect it to be null in some cases, you can obviously make it nullable. So the warnings can definitely be helpful to tell you when some variable could be null. And if for some reason you need to suppress the warning, so there is a case when you are 100% sure that the name will never be null, even though let's say it's nullable, we can use the null suppression operator, which is just a question mark after the variable that could be null. But again, you should use this only if you are 100% sure that the name will never be null. Another case where you may be tempted to use nullables is when you have a reference to some class, and from it you want to get some other component. In this case, any of these references could be null, so we can explicitly specify that it is nullable, even though it is not really required to be nullable, since references can be null from default. But in this case, nullables don't work the best because they are not directly supported by Unity. For example, the getComponent function doesn't return a nullable, so in this case using nullable here is quite useless. And as we have already discussed the null suppression operator, which was the exclamation mark, I also want to show you the null conditional operator, which is going to check if a value is null. If it is, it's not going to continue on the statement. If it is not, it's going to continue as usual. So this can make the code a little bit shorter because you don't have to be checking if it is not equal to null. And this is the last really trivial example that I will show you today, then we will get to something a bit more interesting. So I have a nullable integer, which is CYS field, but in this case you will notice that nullables don't work the best with Unity, because the nullable value types are not CYSable, but the nullable reference types, such as string, object, some references, these are CYSable. And the nullable value types also have two more properties we can check for. The first one is hasValue, which will tell us whether it is not null. So in case that the myInteger is not null, we can calculate some new integer, so we can take the value from the myInteger and add, let's say, 10 to it. If we don't check whether it has a value, you will see it's going to show us a warning, because in the case that the myInteger is null, and we are trying to add 10 to it and set it into a non-nullable integer variable, in that case it will also throw an exception, because we simply cannot do that with a classic integer variable. Now you should understand how nullables work in general, so let's take a look at a bit more complete example which you could use in a real project. So we'll be showing best time to the user that he has already achieved if he has already played the game. If he hasn't, there is really no best time we can display, and then as the user achieves some best time, we can display it like that. So in the code I have reference to the text, the button, then the best time, which is a nullable integer. When we click the button, I'm simply setting some random value to the best time. And in update, I'm checking if the best time has a value. If it has, it means that the user has already played the game. In this case, we can display it. Otherwise, we will say that the best time is not yet set. And the reason why nullables work really well in this case is because we are explicitly specifying that the best time may not be set. Obviously, we could use a classic integer, so from start we could assign it, let's say 0, meaning that we have no best time, or we could assign it -1. But then you need to kind of remember what all of these values mean. You would maybe also need to add some comments so that other people reading the code know that -1 means no best time. And then in the update you would be checking if the best time is equal to -1. And what if perhaps someone accidentally sets it to 0? What is then going to happen? So in this case, I think that using nullables is really ideal, because it is also adding a bit more, let's say, documentation to the code. You are explicitly specifying it can be null, and then you are checking if it has a value, which also is pretty self-explanatory. And I want to show you another operator which will help you to make the code quite a bit shorter. This is the ternary operator. Again, it is just a question mark, but it has another fancy name. You can see that in the if and else part, the logic is really simple. In each case, we are setting the best time text, so this is happening here. The condition is the has value, so when the has value is true, we are setting it to this. Otherwise, if it is false, we are setting it to this value. So now you already know about 3 operators that can make your code much shorter, and soon we'll learn about the 4th one. Let's take a look at another example where using nullables may be beneficial. So I have a language enum storing multiple languages, then a variable which is nullable language storing the selected language, because as soon as the user starts the game or the application for the first time, the selected language is probably going to be null. In that case, we can either allow the user to select the language, or we can get the system language. This will just try to access the language that you have set in your system. And finally, I want to show you the 4th operator, which can be useful when working with null or nullables. This is the null coalescing operator, which are just those 2 question marks, and this allows you to set a variable to the first value out of these which is not null. So translated to human words, what this is going to do is that if the selected language is already set, it's going to keep it, otherwise it will try to get the system language. If that fails for whatever reason, we'll just set it to the default value, which can be English. And here's the last example that I will show you, which is an example where we probably should not be using nullables. So we are storing a reference to the rigidbody, when then we are doing some stuff with it, we are getting the component, adding some force. And why I think that generally in this case you should not be using a nullable is because it should not really be expected for the rigidbody to be null. If you need the rigidbody to be on the object, then it should definitely not be null. So instead, what I would suggest you to do is to remove the nullable, remove all of the checks. And now, how are we going to make sure that always on the object there is the rigidbody? Well, we have the require component attribute for that. So using nullables can be definitely beneficial in some cases, but I think that in most cases you should probably not be using them. And if there is another way how you can go about it without using nullables, you should probably do it that way, because using nullables in general is just going to make the flow of the program more complicated, since there are many more null checks and that stuff you have to do. And there is one more feature with nullables that I want to show you, which is that we have some custom attributes that we can use to modify when certain warnings will be shown. I have taken these examples from the official C# documentation, so feel free to check it out. I will show you only those 2 attributes, but there is many more you can use. For example, the disallow null, which you can apply to a property or a variable, and then when you try to set the property to null, you can see it's giving you a warning because it's not really expected in that case. And the other attribute, not null, is directly specifying that when we call the function it succeeds, it means that the value is not null. So in this case, we are calling the function throw when null. We are passing in the message, which could be null because it is a nullable string. But if it is null, you can see we are throwing an exception. So if it is null, it's not going to continue past this line. So in this case, it is not throwing us a warning because the code also now knows that when we call this function and it succeeds, the message is definitely not null, and if it doesn't succeed, it's not even going to get to this line. Otherwise, if we would remove the attribute, you can see it's giving us a warning because the message may be null. So using the attributes, we can give the code and the compiler a bit more information about how it is going to work and whether certain variables can be null or they cannot. but this is definitely something a bit more advanced that you will probably use in only a few cases. Finally, let's take a look at the pros and cons of using Nullables. The main advantage is definitely that you will be getting the compile time warnings, so even before you play the game you know which variables may be null, which may be uninitialized, and so on. Using Nullables will also provide better documentation because you explicitly specify that some variable may be null. And it also allows you to assign the null value to value types such as the integer or booleans. I think that this can be a disadvantage as well if you are working with some people in your team who don't know about Nullables or they are not used to them. It will probably look a bit weird to them if they see that you are assigning null to an integer. And for the disadvantages, as it is quite often with all of these techniques and these patterns, it's probably going to increase the complexity of your program because there will be more flows of the program since you'll be checking for null. If it is null, you'll be doing something, if it is not, you'll be doing something else. And one a bit bigger disadvantage when it comes to Unity is that Nullables are not serializable in the inspector, at least for the value types, and they may also not work well with some Unity APIs such as the get component, which cannot return a nullable reference. To sum it up, Nullables can be definitely useful in certain cases, but I think that you should not be overusing them. Because for almost every problem you can use Nullables, but you don't have to, because there's always many more ways how you can solve it. Anyways, I hope that this video was useful. If you have any questions or suggestions, drop them down to the comments, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you in next videos. Bye!